Welcome, everybody, to the American Space Museum. I'm Marquette. We're so glad you're with us to stay curious today. TGIF Friday. Yeah, we're going to talk about some future Friday stuff, like this constellation of satellites that was launched this afternoon. Casual Friday here at the museum. I've got my Pluto Never Forget shirt on there. Okay. Love it. I will never forget Pluto is still a planet in my book. And when I went over to watch the launch this afternoon, a lot of people gave me some thumbs up. One guy said, "I love your shirt. Pluto will always be a planet." Marty Winkle, my co-producer, how you doing today? You think Pluto's a planet or not?
In my mind, it's a planet.
All right.
That's all that counts to me.
That's right. It's one of the most dynamic objects in the solar system. We're not even going to talk about Pluto today. I just am wearing the shirt here. We're going to talk about our auction a little bit. We're going to have some last minute pictures from our friend Carlton Bailey. Thank you, CB. I got those pictures of your launch 2 hours ago. Good job. A beautiful Atlas V launch on a beautiful afternoon here at the Space Coast in Florida. Hope you're enjoying your Friday and the first week of autumn wherever you're at. Second week of autumn, I guess. I know the leaves are changing some places. We're going to talk about the satellites that were launched today. Project Kuiper by Amazon. Not to be confused with the Blue Origin, they say, but it's still Jeff Bezos' pocketbook. Then we're going to talk a little bit about how Northrop Grumman, one of the big companies down the road here on the Space Coast, is going to build a space station, and they're partnering with another company that was given startup money by NASA to build a space station. And NASA says that's okay, because what NASA's doing, folks, is everyone says there's no plans for the space station to continue beyond maybe the end of this decade. And we don't have it on the drawing boards, any new space stations by America. But we do. We're not going to have taxpayers pay for it like we did Skylab and the ISS. We're going to have companies pay for it. And NASA, your taxpayer dollars, has given the seed money to start up these 4 or 5 companies that are building commercial and even hotel type vacation space stations. So let's get into that. And by the way, we'll be telling you how you can own some real serious swag Saturday as our auction bidding ends and the final gavel lands at noon tomorrow on over 350 objects. So let's talk about that. Let's also thank Mr. Bill Harwood. Thank you, Bill Harwood, the Dean of Space Journalists, for an excellent Stay Curious program yesterday. Hopefully I stayed out of the way and let him do most of the talking, but a great guy. Of course, I'm a journalist, grew up that way, such a wonderful experience interviewing a reporter. But you're going to learn a lot of things going back with Bill Harwood, the source for the facts in all space stories. You can't get any better than Bill. So thank you, Bill, and we look forward to doing some stargazing with you and get some starlight together, as he's a big amateur astronomer with a big 16-inch telescope that I want to look through. We have our auction starting tomorrow at noon Eastern Daylight Time. We have over 20 items from the astronaut Woody Spring. He was an early astronaut before the Challenger, and then wasn't going to stick around the 4 or 5 years he would have to fly again. He's got Robbins medals. We're going to see a couple of those, very precious silver or gold medals that were flown in space. So there's the QR code. Bid Again Auctions is conducting it with Chuck Jeffrey, who's done this auctions for our museum now for over 6 years. And it is our mainstay of income. That is going to be changing after the first of the year when Bid Again Auctions is changing their direction in our participation, so that's fine. We will still be having auctions and participating in them as a vendor than being the premier auction house or auction supplier. So there's just so many cool items, and we're going to look at those here in just a second. November, we'll start a Galaxy of Giving. You can't turn on the radio without your PBS channel having a fundraiser, and that's all good. Tax-deductible donations are what a lot of Americans look for this time of year to cut their tax bill, and we're certainly going to get on board that bandwagon. And Karen Conklin, my executive director, and I, we have some great rewards for your giving that we will be sharing beginning the first part of November. There is a cosmic ball that's going to happen October 21st at the Beachside Hotel, another partner of the American Space Museum at Cocoa Beach. I do outreach stargazing there once a month. Beachside's beside Ron John's. The Museums of Brevard, 22 proud institutions that celebrate the birth of, they celebrate the heritage of Brevard County. We celebrate the birth of the space age, and there's some institutions that began. I'm actually the president of the mob, and our museum founded the mob 10 years ago, and we just become a 501c3. We're thriving, and this is a big fundraiser that will benefit the American Space Museum and 21 other museums that, like I said, preserve the heritage. We've got an astronaut coming, moon gazing, as that's International Moon Night, $50. Well, how do you get to our website? How do you get involved with this auction? Here is our website. Go to just Google American Space Museum. It'll take you to our website. At the very top, you see the yellow. That's for donations. And then at the very top above our logo is it says auctions up there. And you hit that auction page. There you see the donations. That's the front of it. Yeah. And then you hit auction up there at the top. I have them backwards there. I wonder why that looked weird. And then that is your donate to the museum. And I don't think I put the auction link up there of what that looks like. Looks similar to this. Click it. It'll take you to the pages where the auction, 360 items. Now it's going to start at noon. It takes about a minute a lot just to go through them on the average. Some go quickly and some maybe 3 or 4 minutes. But it looks like this, and these are some of the items that we have up for sale this time around. We've got, we have some, I put my glasses on there. This is in the 30s where we have this. We've got some launch permits, okay, that already have a bid of up to $100 is the current bid. 4 bids on that. We think it'll go between $200 and $400. Then you've got an authentic rocket from Cape Canaveral Air Force Station. This was a sounding rocket, okay, a small thing, actually one that wasn't launched. We think it'll go $1,500 to $2,500, and the bidding's already up to $800. Now, if you bid $1,000 on that and the bidding's up to $800, you've got the highest bid, or it would go to $850 and then $1,000. So you would only give $800 if no one bids on that. Then we got some Gemini recovery photographs, training photographs there are quite valuable. You got a dozen of them there that should go, a good $10, $15 a piece. The bidding starts at $50. Most of the lots start at $50. There is a Jim McDivitt signed vintage NASA photograph and a first day cover. 2 things signed there should go for an easy $200, $100 a piece for a Gemini and Apollo astronaut. No one's bid on that yet, okay? Oh, there is one bid to $50, it says there. So somebody's matched the minimum. That means that they may have put $200, that I'm willing to go $200 for all that. So I'm the only one to bid on it. So it starts out at $50, all right? And if nobody else bids on it, I'll get it for $50. But some people will bid on it. These things don't get, the illusion if there's no bids right now. This could go up to $200 or $300 maybe. That's a picture of Jim McDivitt ears being inspected by a doctor there. And we lost Jim at age 92, I think, 91 last year. So he'll be signing no more autographs, folks. And another page here, you've got the original NASA command module pictures there on the left. Now, when we say original NASA photos, they are stamped on the back, usually with the blue ink, like a mimeograph machine they went through and hand out to the press. They are photographs. They're either A, Kodak paper, the watermark, or Kodak paper on the back. You can see the watermark on there. Or they have red numbers and a couple of red letters on them with the NASA logo. That means that they're sort of VIP inter-office. The first batch that were sent out were given to all the VIPs, and they have red letters and numbers on them. Those are appreciably more valuable. Well, there we love Snoopy. Hard to find Apollo era decals. We forget how hard they are to find because I see them laying around the museum and in our eBay all the time. But no, those are pretty, not super rare, but yeah, that Apollo 11 on the left's real rare. And Chuck thinks those will go for $300 to $500. And there's already a $125 bid on it. Okay. Does that say 3 bids on it already? Then you've got some stuff from Glenn Kingsley. Glenn Kingsley was the chief of the Grumman test astronauts. They weren't test pilots, they were test astronauts and were qualified to do everything that an astronaut do, except they didn't fly in space, and a couple of them tried to. So there you see some valuable patches there. You never see those. Should go for over $1,000. You got that up to $500 pre-bid. And then the first Silver Snoopy Award ever awarded to a space worker, that was Mr. Kingsley, and that should go maybe $25,000. The bidding's up to $3,500. All right. This is the first of Snoopys that are given out. This is the pin of excellence for space workers. And so to have the first one is quite something else. There's only a first one time. So, but you might, let's see, the bidding has already eclipsed the, I think the, yeah, $3,500. That's the starting bid. Yeah, so you have to spend at least $3,500 for it. It could go for as low as that. So we'll come back to a couple other items that we have to show you off here in our auction. But we wanted to talk about the launch today. Only the third daytime launch in about 17, 18 launches on the Cape here this year. And this is Project Kuiper. And this was a beautiful launch. I took this a screen grab off of Spaceflight Now. Thank you for letting me do that. But then Carlton Bailey came through. CB, what a gorgeous photograph that is in the daytime. I'm sure you're relieved to finally see a payload on a rocket instead of it disappearing in the night beneath the bright flame. But this was off Pad 41 that United Launch Alliance leases. And this is an Amazon satellite system of 3,200 low Earth orbit satellites that are going to fill in the gaps. Now, why did Amazon take this mission on? Now, Amazon, of course, is owned by Jeff Bezos, who has built a Blue Origin complex here for his New Glenn rocket. Well, the New Glenn rocket was supposed to be ready and launched, obviously, because these are satellites that were supposed to go on the New Glenn. And to keep the timeline on the Amazon constellation system of over 3,000 satellites, they wanted to get it off as soon as they could. Now, is Kuiper project part of Blue Origin? Well, the website says no. Kuiper is an Amazon initiative, part of the same devices and services division for Kindle, Echo, Fire, TV, Eero, Ring, and other tech devices that are under the Amazon umbrella. Blue Origin is a separate company founded by Jeff Bezos. Yeah, but he also founded Amazon, and everybody knows he's taken the profits from Amazon and pouring that into Blue Origin to the tune of a couple $2 billion every quarter. So, and Marty, I got something coming from Amazon right now. How about you? I'm waiting to hit my doorbell.
Yeah, that's my Halloween candy coming in.
Okay, there you go. Well, I've got my Cosmic Ball costume coming and stuff. So, well, Project CB, excellent photograph, my friend. Look at that beautiful timing as it's lifting off the pad. Beautiful side light on it there. There it got up above, tilted a little bit for its orbit. It went out straight east pretty much, straight up and east A little bit of cloud cover that made it exciting and beautiful. Uh, Project Kuiper started off as an internal code name for the program, and it stuck. The name refers to the Kuiper Belt, a region of the solar system that exists beyond 8 major planets. The Kuiper Belt itself is named after the late Dutch astronomer Gerard Kuiper, and we're going to show you what that looks like here in a minute. But here is the big constellation. That didn't work out too good, the Amazon Kuiper project. This is the payload and the fairing being lifted up on that Atlas V rocket. I'm not sure if the payload got placed properly. After the show, I'll go back and find out. So maybe, and here's what that satellite looks like. It took me forever to Google what it looked like, but that's sort of what it looked like, according to an artist's rendition of them in space. Amazon has more than 1,000 engineers, programmers, and support personnel working on Project Kuiper. They work out of their Redmond, Kirkland, Washington area labs. Of course, Amazon is in Seattle, Washington. And why Amazon took this on is because within a 60-minute drive from their headquarters in Seattle, there's no cell phone service in the mountains and forests of the great state of Washington. So, and this is why Jeff Bezos has put over 5,000 Starlink satellites in low Earth orbit, and his constellation overlapping this one, and that one being overlapped by the OneWeb, and on and on. There's other services that are going to populate this low Earth orbit with satellites. They're going to be running into each other, or they're going to fall apart, and something's going to get hurt. There is that constellation of just these Amazon Kuiper satellites. And when you buy a Kuiper system, that's what you're going to do, is hire someone to get up on your roof and stick it on your roof up there, or get your grandson to do it. And Amazon is selling this, the red cardinal not included in the sales there, okay? If it is, it's not guaranteed to be alive, I think. But so that is quite a downsize, Marty, of the antenna dishes that we used to have. Not that noticeable and so forth. Which reminds me of, Marty, do you know what the state bird of the state of West Virginia was back in the 1980s and 90s particularly?
I have no idea, but I would guess blackbird.
No, the state bird of West Virginia in the 90s was the satellite dish. Okay? Because there were so many satellite dishes sprung up all over Appalachia, including West Virginia. People in these hollers never got TV reception, and then they could once satellite reception started coming on board. Do you notice that there's not as many cell towers as there was, looking so ugly, hanging off hotels and so forth? And this is why. This is replacing the cell towers that some will still be there as repeaters for some of these satellites probably. So it's amazing how far this has come in just the last decade, for sure. Well, here is the man, Gerard Kuiper. He is a Dutch astronomer who died in 1974 at age 68, way too young to leave. But he is one of the godfathers of the planetary science. In fact, he's considered the father of modern planetary science. He started looking at planets. He did things like discovered 2 natural satellites of Uranus and Neptune. He discovered Miranda in Neptune's Nereid. He discovered carbon dioxide in the atmosphere of Mars and the existence of methane-lace atmosphere in Saturn's satellite Titan. And he also pioneered the airborne infrared imaging observations using an aircraft, the Convair 990, in the 1960s. So Kuiper, Gerard Kuiper, very famous astronomer, considered the father of modern-day planetary astronomy, where he started realizing that, if the Earth has tectonic systems and so forth, maybe some, not the other planets, but maybe some of the moons do. And anyway, it's just a great branch of astronomy. And Gerard Kuiper, the Kuiper belt, he theorized was this. There's Neptune. You see where Jupiter is, and Saturn and Uranus, the Earth and Mars and so forth. Their orbits are so small they're not even shown here. But they would be hugging where we call the sun. Basically, ice and rocks covered with ice is in the Kuiper belt. We think this is where some comets come from. Way beyond the Kuiper belt is the Oort cloud, almost halfway to the nearest star. And Pluto is in the Kuiper belt, as is Sedna and all kinds of other large Pluto-sized objects. And that's why Pluto was demoted from planet to dwarf planet, because all these other dwarf planets, only 2,000 miles across like Pluto, populate this Kuiper belt, about half a dozen of them. So do we add a half a dozen more planets, or create a new class of planet with Pluto as the king? Yet I'm wearing my Pluto shirt there. I do have Pluto in the show today, Marty. Well, now you know about the Kuiper project, the Kuiper belt, and Gerard Kuiper, one of the great astronomers of the took us in the modern age. Well, our memorabilia show, once again, is a charity auction. If you buy something for $100, we're going to put a $20 charity fee on that. All right. So you pay $120 plus shipping. So we want to make sure you're clear about that. Well, something that was in the news today, Northrop Grumman got $125 million from the government in 2021, along with another $400 million dished out to other companies. I'll tell you in a minute, to start creating commercial low Earth orbit space stations. All right, Northrop Grumman is one of the huge employers here. Grumman, of course, we talk about, built the lunar module. They were an aviation company in World War II and through Korea, and then they built the fabulous lunar module that Marty worked on. Northrop is another aviation company. Well, they merged a decade or so ago, as these companies do, swap out their vice presidents and so forth, and come up with a new plan. Well, Northrop Grumman's new plan was to partner with Voyager Space and their division, NanoRacks, to create this, the Space Lab. The Space Lab is going to be a call it Star Labs, Star Lab. Well, the news is that Grumman has formally withdrawn its solo plans to build this and have partnered with NanoRacks, aka Voyager Space, which tags their tagline is Humanity Unbound. Okay, we are bettering humanity's future by accelerating the development of a sustainable space economy. Now, that is basically the subtitle of every new company out there. They all want to help humanity. They all want to sustain the Earth's fragile environment, and they all want to make a lot of money. Okay, so, but I'm not being facetious or silly about it, but what else can you say? We're going to space to make money, and in the process, we hope they don't mess up the environment up there, like we're making an illusion that these communication satellites are really going to create a problem. Well, like I said, NASA has no plans to build a new space station. They have plans to give out money to startups and other established companies like Northrop Grumman to build commercial space stations. What does that mean? Well, pharmaceutical companies may dock with this space station. They want 6 docking ports on it so that anyone can come up there, dock their lab, maybe there are people in there. This is a habitable structure. And they're hoping by timeline here to have it fully operational in 2032. 2028 is when they want to put up the first segments of it. Okay, so that gives them a good 5 years technology to build on. Back in, like I said, in December 2021, so actually it's just little less than 2 years ago, These companies were given $555 million to invest in space station development. Blue Origin was given $130 million. NanoRacks and was given $160 million. Northrop Grumman $125 million. Axiom was given $140 million. And what they've come up with is what one of the companies came up with, that they're going to combine this with the Starlinks, and Northrop Grumman with Star Labs. Northrop Grumman says this isn't a backward step for them. They look at it as a forward step, though they're not going to be autonomous and build their own station. They think that two heads are better than one, basically, and have a greater chance of maybe getting more government help combined. What's under this, the Northrop Grumman that provided a cargo transportation to the ISS, International Space Station, via their Cygnus spacecraft that was launched from Wallops Island on their Antares rocket. What they're going to be doing now is create that Cygnus spacecraft that will be upgraded to allow autonomous docking for the future space station. It will be outfitted with the radar and the software and computers needed to automatically dock with the space station. So you go and mark how they've been doing it with the Cygnus spacecraft. They've been berthing it with the Canada-2 arm. It has a grappling fixture on it. The Canada-2 arm grabs it and then brings it in and docks it to docks it with the International Space Station there. So this is exciting to watch this. It's a very fluid situation regarding the money that Northrop's already spent. Okay, NASA said it'll take that money and other program funding and mix it with the Voyager Space NanoRacks money. So they're cool with everything. What they use this startup money for is basically creating the paperwork infrastructure, the administration, tree tier of who's going to be doing what, and set up a lot of committees, from the safety committees to the review boards and so forth, that must be in place before you put something in space. You have to be accountable to the FAA and NASA and so many other things. So that's what the startup money for, is not to build hardware, but it's to build the infrastructure and pay a lot of people money to think this through, and then now they're at the launching stage. So, for example, for the Kuiper project, they went through the same startup process that Northrop Grumman and now its new partner Voyager Space and NanoRacks is going to do here. So, looking forward to having some new 3 or 4 different space stations up there occupied by humans. We've got 2 up there now, with 11 on the space station and 3 on the Chinese Tiangong space station, for 14 people orbiting Earth right now. Well, we love our shuttles of October, so let's end our program with that, and then a few more items from our auction. The shuttle launched today in 1990. Okay, so that's 33 years ago today. That's kind of hard to believe. 1990 was that long ago. It was 41, STS-41, with a great crew on board. I've met a couple of them. You've got Richard Richards. Let's put that up there. Richard Richards is the commander. The pilot's Bob Cabana. Bill Shepard's up there. Bruce Melnick and Tom Akers. Now, Melnick, Akers, and Cabana are rookies, and Shepard and Richards have only flown one time before. Okay, or twice before, I mean. So this is the Richards, his 3rd flight, twice a commander, twice a pilot, now commander, and don't know much about him, but we sure know a lot about Bob Cabana. This was his first of 4 flights. He became the 12-year director out there at the Kennedy Space Center, and a great guy to boot, been in our museum. Let's look here, as we love sharing. What does the patch mean here? That Bruce Melnick. Hey, Bruce, if you're watching, Bruce was the astronaut chief out there at the Space Center, wrangling up those astronauts for Nick Thomas to wrangle to us. And Bruce spent about a year there. He was sort of an intern between John McBride, who retired, and now we've got Winston Scott out there. So Melnick was his first mission, and he told me that he had a lot to do with making this patch, which the crew did if they wanted to. It was sort of an exercise by the commander of who was going to come forward and so forth. So Melnick said he had these strong ideas, and the STS-41 crew patch depicts the space shuttle orbiting Earth after deployment of its primary payload, the Ulysses satellite. The orbiter is shown passing over the southeastern United States, representative of its 28-degree inclination orbit. Ulysses, the solar exploration satellite, will be the fastest man-made object in the universe, traveling at 30 miles per second, and is represented by the streaking silver teardrop passing over the sun. Okay, I see that. Ulysses' path is depicted by the bright red spiral originating from the spacecraft's payload bay. The path will go around planet Jupiter, where Ulysses will receive a gravitational direction change that will put it in a polar trajectory around the sun. The three-legged trajectory extended out of the payload bay is symbolic of the astronaut logo and is in honor of those who've given their lives in the conquest of space. The 5 stars, 4 gold and 1 silver, represent the STS-41 and each of the crew members there. So, Discovery was the orbiter. They landed October 10th out in California at Edwards Air Force Base. Ulysses, here's the crew, which Melnick's there on the left. I asked Bruce about this picture because I saw it above his office at KSC. I said, is that a green screen you guys were in front of and they photoshopped it in there? And Bruce said, hell no, that's the baddest ass astronaut photo I've ever seen. He loves that shot because it was the real sunset out here at Kennedy Space Center, T-38 behind him, a wet runway there. And he said, that says flight right there to me and everybody else there. Melnick's rookie flight, he became the first Coast Guard member to orbit the Earth. So, and when you Google STS-41, like I did to find a launch picture, because I didn't have one from the UCX, I wanted to show here STS-41. Well, I come up with 41B, 41A, 41D, 41C. And you go like, wait a minute, I just want 41. And once again, what are all these alphabet numbers in this system, and why so many spacecraft called 41, 51, and 61? The 4, 5, and 6 refer to the fiscal year that the spacecraft was launched during, not the year it was launched, because 51L, Challenger, was launched in 1986, because that was the fiscal year for 86, and it actually goes from October to October. This is a messed up system that the government number crunchers wanted to keep track of everything on this very expensive $2 billion launch system here. The only one that's the launch from today is the one in the upper, the second one in, which is one of the greatest shots ever, looking up the tailpipe, so to speak, of those SSB engines. And Marty, you loved looking at that. Marty was a launch process service guy. Look at those beautiful white hot 3 SSMEs there just burning the way they're supposed to for their 9-minute ascent to orbit, 2 minutes of which those solid rocket boosters are helping them out there. That's one of the classic shots of all. There's the Ulysses spacecraft. Yes, it was sent the opposite direction from the sun to make a U-turn and go out over this, a U-turn around the poles of Jupiter. Jupiter is so huge, everything in the solar system but the sun can fit in it. Every planet, moon, comet, asteroid can fit comfortably in Jupiter. It is huge, and that tremendous gravity whipped it around at the fastest speed anything has flown. over 30 miles a second. So, Doug Forrest, thank you for watching today. And Dave Stangy's watching. Cynthia Rossi, Tom Usiak. Thank you for your compliment, Tommy, on yesterday's show. He really enjoyed the conversation we had with Bill Harwood. Carlton Bailey, hot off the press with those photos, my friend. That's good. And Xander, the space nerd. Well, Xander, thank you for staying curious with us today. There's our buddy Bruce Melnick. He promised to do a Stay Curious interview, one of the local astronauts that hasn't. That's Bill Shepard there, who, unbeknownst to him, 11 years after this picture, would be watching the World Trade Center collapse from the International Space Station. So, and we'll end it with a couple more items from our auction. There's the QR code. Get your phone out. Got it? Okay, good. Let me go to the next slide there. We got some Kapton foil, which was off of Apollo 17 with a COA. Their certificate of authenticity from Marty, who actually took this off the Apollo 17, an instrument there that they had to do something with and replace the Mylar on it. So that would have been to the moon if Marty hadn't cut that off. There's Harrison Schmitt, the last man on the moon, moonwalker. Current bid on that is $125. All right, 5 bids. People have bid. It started out at 50, so you had 5 bids on it that have gone up to 125. Maybe I put in there, I'll give $300 that autograph. So it hasn't met up to 300. So I'm the highest bid. Or otherwise it would go to the next level or all the way up to 300 if people kept bidding on it. There you have some Apollo Sterling silver proof coin sets. McDonnell Douglas profile mini books. Those are really cool to have. Those are worth $20 a piece. And there's 12 of them there. Or 6 of them there. 10, I guess, there. And here's those Robbins medals that we talked about. Woody Spring bought these off of other astronauts, or you can invest in them as an astronaut. You didn't have to be on your flight. Woody was a Capcom, I think, on STS-2. And he's also got a beautiful picture of STS-1 launch there. $300 is the minimum bid on that one Robbins medal. And then there's a gold one in there, actually. There's a silver one. That is $300 is the minimum bid on that. So, and we've got lots of space-flown flags from shuttles, and I think there's a couple moon orbiting flags on there. So we hope that you can find time to come on board and watch the auction. You can do it on your smartphone. Just go to actually download the app. Invaluable Auctions is the app for that. And I will enjoy watching that on my smartphone. And you see, you can go back and see what something went for if you missed it too. So, Marty, I know you'll be watching it. Was there anything that you saw that you want to buy at this auction? I know you buy a few things every auction.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind buying one of those Robbins medals. And there's a few good autographs I'd like to get also.
Good. What autographs are you looking at?
Well, I'd like to get Jim McDivitt. I want to get Bruce McCandless also.
Bruce McCandless, some good ones there. Bruce McCandless, the first untethered spacewalk, a great guy. He waited a long time to fly. He was going to be an Apollo moonwalker, quite possibly, if we'd gone to 18, 19, and 20. Well, great. All right. Well, we're glad that everybody got a little bit of auction history, space history, and shuttle history today. And we can't thank you enough for supporting our museum in all the ways you do. We actually make a little bit of money on YouTube. I'm told we may have made $15 in the month of September, and that's from you watching the ads and so forth that are in there. So we really appreciate everybody's support of our museum as well as our programming here. And Marty, we're just grateful for everybody that's to take us this far, including you, sir. Do we have anything to end up with today?
Nope, we're good to go.
All right. Well, thank you. You enjoy a good weekend, Marty. I hope everybody has a nice weekend. Great time of year. We may be in the 60s at night for the first time since like April or May. So people are drinking their coffee outside in the morning. Finally, it's not so humid. So the seasons are changing everywhere. and we will be changing with them here at the American Space Museum to bring you programming that you all like. Just let us know what you like, and we'll be happy to accommodate you. So, well, we hope that everybody's enjoyed a great week. This is episode 905 has been put down in the books, Marty, and I couldn't do it without you and our support, everyone here at the American Space Museum, led by our director, Karan Conklin. So until then, I'm Mark Marquette saying I can't wait to see you in our museum to bridge this space between us.